We got some geese right over here. They've been out here every day. I tell you, I could not be more at peace than just driving this around, getting better at it, and improving the property. Great way to spend a day. Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to start the process of grading around the Quonset hut and building our road down here. And we've got a bunch of dirt piles all over the place that have different purposes. Right out the back side of the Quonset hut is a pile of topsoil that was saved when we excavated the site, and that was saved to cover this hillside. So we're going to start moving that over here, and that will open it up so we can drive into the back of the Quonset hut. But we've also got a lot of other dirt piles. For instance, between me and this tree, there's a pile of dirt that is more rocks than dirt, and it's not good for anything else we're doing. So that's just fill, and it's going to be taken down where we've been dumping the rock. And then next to that is some compost. And that's actually horse manure that's been composted down. We'll be using that in areas that are being planted. We're going to offer it to people for their gardens, things like that. All of that needs pushed back and piled up out of the way and kind of turned so it doesn't continue to grass over. And we're basically just going to be cleaning all this up and getting ready to have this be a road right here. And I think I'm going to have this be our one flat spot on the property where I always park the truck and trailer to load my equipment. Because everywhere else that I ever load is on a little bit of a hill, and that's not ideal. While we're doing all this, I'm also going to have a fire going the whole time. We have a lot of leftover material from different trees that have been cut down. I think we've got like 6 stacks of pallet here from where we received freight, and we keep some pallets, but we don't need 6 stacks of them. And then of course we've got our big sawdust pile because we run a wood shop 24/7. Just all of this needs cleaned up and organized, because just being honest with myself, I've made a giant mess out here. All of this area is just a mess. And what's going to happen as the grass continues to grow up taller is I'm not going to even know what's in there anymore, and I'm not going to be able to mow it or clear it or anything. So time to get started cleaning this up, and throughout the day I'll be feeding the fire too. Let's get started. All right, I've got a pretty good fire going. Now I'm going to start working on this slope. And it's been here for a while. It's pretty well packed in, and it's getting another layer on top of it. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I am going to come back and forth across it a little bit and track it in. And then the back corner over there, this is all a good grade, and then at the back it drops off a little steeper than I want it to. So I'm going to go down by the pond and get some clay and try to build up that back corner before I start spreading topsoil. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but I can feel it now and I can see it where I couldn't before. But about 2/3 the way down, there's a little bit of a hump and it stays high the rest of the hill. And really, I'd like it to be tapering off. So I want to take off maybe 3 inches, about 2/3 of the way down. I'm going to change the camera angle so maybe you can see what I'm talking about while I'm doing it. If that's on grade, then this is low and that's high, and then it drops off too soon. So I want to maintain this, but peel a few inches off in that direction and push them on out. I was trying to grade a little bit of this off right here to make it more gradual coming down, but that didn't really work because if you remember when we built this hill, we took all the rock from under the Quonset hut and buried it here. So every time I try to cut down into this, I'm just snagging more and more rock and just ripping that rock out, and you can't grade a pile of rock. So I'm gonna call this good enough. I'm gonna just bring in a little bit of clay and layer across here to raise it up. And then we're gonna start putting topsoil across all this, get this giant pile of topsoil out of the way. I changed my mind a little bit and decided that before I bring the clay over, I wanted to get all of this fill dirt moved out of the way. And there's about 3 piles of that. You might recognize this spot right here from the last couple of videos. Right here was the edge where this dropped off into this hole, and I've been filling it in and dumping rock back here and dumping dirt back here, and I've built a little shelf that I can drive off on. Now I know that this isn't properly packed and it's still going to compact over time, but every time I come down here I'm just going to keep driving out on it and packing it down more. Obviously, I'm still just getting the hang of this, but it's a lot easier to spread the topsoil than it is the clay because the wet clay clumps up just a little bit more. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start moving the pile of topsoil and spreading it across this slope here. I'm not gonna bring it all the way down because this bottom part still needs built up more, and then this is gonna be rock down here. But I'm gonna grow grass in between the building and the road. So the main thing is I wanna get that pile of topsoil out of the way. In addition to sloping pretty steep towards the camera, this area also slopes from left to right, but as you can probably tell here, it's more of a gradual slope now. You're going to see me getting out a lot to pick up rocks because even though this was supposed to be clean topsoil, it does still have some rocks in it. It also has grass growing on top of the pile, which makes it a little bit more difficult to smooth out, but not nearly as bad as when I've worked with sod and a box blade. I'm gonna say we saved about the right amount of dirt. The pile's maybe half gone, a little more than half. And we have a decent layer of topsoil across all this, but I'd like to just keep layering it a little thicker. I wouldn't have to try as much as I am to level this as I go because the power rake will completely level this out, but I'm not gonna run it today, and I need to practice leveling without it because I won't always have it with me. At this point, all of the topsoil is spread, and since I'm not seeding it today, I want it to be packed in tightly. So right now I'm just driving back and forth over it, which I also did later with my truck. All right, this is all ready for grass seed. What I'll do when I go get the seed is just run the power rake across this one time, one set of passes, and then go ahead and seed it, and this should be good to go. I don't want to do it today because it's going to rain the next 3 days. If I loosen that up on this hillside and then put grass seed down, it's all going to wash out. So I need to get the seed and straw here to try to keep it from washing down, and wait till we're not going to have rain at least for a couple days, and we should be good to go. Where you can see the color change down there, that's how far the grass is going to grow. At the edge of that line where I stopped with the topsoil, that's where the road's going to go. Now, as far as that road, the purpose of it is to be able to let me get in and out of the Quonset hut, and I can do that now. I've still got a little bit of this blocking, and the reason I didn't use the rest of it is the back half of that is full of rocks, and I had my share of picking out rocks today. So I'm gonna take the rest of this pile down there where I've been dropping all my fill, and then I'll have full access in and out of both sides of this, which was my main goal for the day. Well, it's not really done, but I think this was a pretty good transformation for one day. And I'm gonna build that fire back up. It's dwindling down, and then I've got a bunch of mowing to do. So I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I'll put links over here to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.